Hey there, this is Alana with another productivity tip for you today. I want to give you an inside peek into one of the ways that I like to organize my to-do list. So for those of you who really like writing things out, making lists, checking things off of lists, I'm going to share my system with you. I've been doing to-do lists for years, and it wasn't until maybe about 2 years ago that I kind of started to organize my to-do list in this way, and it's made a huge difference. So the typical way of organizing a to-do list is kind of, what do I have to do for each of my projects, right? So it'll be something like, if your project is getting a book written, you have, contact the cover designer, contact the editor, pay your invoices for those, write the book, send the book to betas, and all of those fall under the kind of heading of the book. And then you have another heading that's like, what do you need to do for your ads? And another one that's maybe, what do you need to do for your newsletter list and things like that. What I'm going to show you is how to organize your to-do list based on the platform and not the project. And this is going to make a huge difference. So let's go back to getting the book done, right? We talked about, in addition to writing the book, you've got to communicate with your editor, communicate with your cover designer, pay your editor, pay your cover designer, send emails to beta readers. And so instead of having all of those kind of in the order of what you would do, the way that I would encourage you to think through that is, one headline is going to say email. Who do you need to email? You need to email your cover designer, your beta readers, and your editor. And then another one would be like invoices or finances or something. Okay, who do you need to pay? You need to pay your editor and you need to pay your cover designer. And then you can have things based on, the rule of thumb is you do it based on what software or product you need to be using to get it done, right? So that's why we had email as one. We had PayPal or whatever app you're using to pay people as another one. The next one would be like all the things that need to happen in Word or Scrivener or wherever you write. That would be the writing, the editing, things like that. And so when you organize it based on what software you're going to be using, instead of organizing it just by project, you're going to be way more efficient because you're not going to be jumping back and forth. In the first way, what we talked about, it would be like, okay, you need to open up Gmail and email your cover designer. And then you need to go to PayPal and pay their invoice. And then you need to open up Word and start your writing. And then somewhere in between there, you need to go back to Gmail, get in touch with your editor. And you're bouncing back and forth between a lot of things. So even if you hate to-do lists and you aren't going to get anything else out of today's video, I really encourage you to think through areas where you're mentally bouncing back and forth between tabs, whether those tabs are literal or metaphorical. Anytime you're bouncing back and forth between tabs, it takes just a little bit of energy away from the deep focus that you're in. And all of those tiny interruptions can add up to a pretty big mental toll and time loss by the end of the day. And so that's why what I recommend, here's an example, right? So here's my to-do list from today where I have emails. All right, and here are the emails that I know I want to write today. They're all related to different projects. Some of them are related to different businesses, right? Some are for my fiction, some are for my courses for authors. But it's all happening in email. So basically what I'm going to want to do is give myself a chunk of time to get all of these tasks done at once, as opposed to if I had separated into, these are the things I need to get done for the writing courses. These are the things I need to get done for my fiction. Again, that's bouncing between tabs, and we don't want to be doing that. Here's all the things that I need to do on Facebook. I need to do some live videos. I need to respond to some questions and comments. I need to look at my messages, right? So again, think about your to-do list, not by project, but by the software you use, or even like the mental energy that you're using while you're there. So like I've got a task here called delegate. I've got two things that I'm passing on to two different assistants. They're going to be a similar style of job that's going to take a similar type of mental focus. And so I'm going to do those together. Here's things for Amazon. So I've got some office supplies to order. I've got some returns to do. I'm going to do those both at once. Here's what I have to do in ConvertKit. And again, some of these are for fiction, some of these are for the writing business, but it's all in ConvertKit. So my goal is to have my chunk of time that says, I'm going to be working in ConvertKit now, and then I work in ConvertKit, and then I'm done. So you can see here, like this is a long list. There's probably at least like 40 things on here, but it's also helpful to separate it like this because now basically I don't have 40 tasks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 kind of chunks of things that I need to do. I've got some things in email. I've got some things on Facebook, right? So now instead of thinking of all these little parts, what I'm doing is I'm telling myself, okay, I have a chunk of work to do on Facebook. Start to finish, it's probably going to take less than half an hour. That feels less intimidating and mentally taxing to go into when I tell myself I have Facebook jobs, right? Or I have a chunk of time to work in Facebook. And then you just do it. So especially on a day where you're feeling very, very overwhelmed and you're feeling worried about getting everything done and keeping track of what you have to get done, really recommend you jot everything down. It's another surefire way to make sure that you're not going to forget things and that you're not going to waste mental energy trying to remember things. Because once it's on your list, then it's going to happen, and it's going to happen in an efficient way. So even if it feels like you can't take the time to slow down, this took me maybe 10 minutes to go over. And I know some days we feel like we don't even have 10 minutes to spare. But I absolutely guarantee that when you take a step back and just sort of organize your tasks into the most time efficient way to get them done, you're going to be saving yourself so much time and mental energy. So that is today's productivity tip, and I hope it was helpful.